All right. I started off good tonight. I just sat there and literally talked to myself. So thank you for letting me know. I don't know what happened there. My microphone went muted. But anyway, welcome to LTL True Crime. It's January 9th, 2024. We're here on a wet and wild New England night. There is emergency response vehicles going off in the background. We're starting off great. My microphone was muted. But thank you for letting me know. Oh boy, we're starting off really great. So anyway, want to come in tonight and stream the select board meeting, the Canton select board meeting. Rita emailed me earlier and was like, hey, you're going to stream the meeting. So I said, why not? I know that Mike over at Young Jerks used to do it. I decided to pick it up tonight, but I want to come in a little bit early because there's a couple of developments that came out today, and I want you all to know about it if you haven't heard. But first order of business, let's do this. I saw this on, where am I? On Boston 25, they wrote an article today. It says, judge impounds defense motion in Reed case, says move will, quote, protect integrity of the grand jury process. So let's get into this. From Ted Daniels, Boston 25. Superior Court judge cited the need to, quote, protect the integrity of the federal grand jury process Monday as she impounded a motion filed to lawyers representing a Massachusetts woman charged with killing her Boston police officer boyfriend. Hang on one second. I got to take care of a little bit of housekeeping here. Perfect. Okay, back to the show. So I sat here and I said, okay, what is impounded? So let's figure that out. Let's figure it out. So impounded in Massachusetts is the uniform rule on impoundment procedure. Massachusetts trial court rules define impoundment to mean the acting of keeping some of all the papers, documents, or exhibits, or portions, therefore, in the case, separated and unavailable for public inspection. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Remember, nothing to see here. All right, let's go back to the article. It says prosecutors have charged Karen Reed with second-degree murder for allegedly killing her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, by backing into him with her SUV and leaving him to die in a snowstorm on January 29th, 2022. 25 Investigates on Friday reported that lawyers for Karen Reed had filed a motion to dismiss the indictment pursued by the North Fork District Attorney's Office. Her lawyers accused District Attorney Michael Morsi of unethical conduct. The DA spokesperson declined to comment. On Monday, Superior Court Judge Auntie Bev impounded that motion. This means the paper will no longer be available to the public. Why don't we want to open it up to the public? Why? Because we know what it's going to do. When Auntie Bev says, no, we're going to go on with the trial, it's only going to make the people that know that Karen Reed is innocent upset. They want to hide this from everybody. Oh, and by the way, I think I see Tom in the chat. Tom, happy birthday, dude. I hope you're having an amazing day. But this is all to hide everything of the process of what's going on. So it says in her decision, she says, I find that there's good cause to impound the motion in to protect the integrity of the federal grand jury proceedings referenced by the counsel. The order shall be in effect until January 18th. Motion hearing. 25 Investigates obtained the motion late Friday before the judge impounded it. Aha! In the motion, the defense accused the DA's office of framing Reed and withholding information about a federal investigation case. Morsi's office has repeatedly denied. Literally, my eye is twitching right now. What the hell, man? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I think it stopped. Prosecutors said they amassed a pile of evidence against Reed, including interviews with numerous witnesses and evidence, including an apparent human hair found on Reed's Lexus. So we sprinkle the taillight, the magic fairy dust. We sprinkle the hairs, the magic hairs. We wait. We go back a couple weeks later, and oh, wow, there's 27 pieces of new taillight that we find, right? Because the snow had it had thawed out. It had melted, so then it's, still, Reed's team is using pretrial motions to cast doubt on prosecuted charges and argue that a wide range of conspiracy of local. Hang on one second. Holy smokies. I'm all over the place tonight. A wide range of local and state law enforcement planted incriminating evidence falsely implicating Reed in O'Keefe's death. As 25 Investigates has been reporting, a federal grand jury has been looking at law enforcement handling of Reed's case. In the Friday filing, Reed's lawyer said Norfolk County DA disclosed 6 letters dated May to November between 2023 between the DA's office and the U.S. Attorney's Office, U.S. Department of Justice, or the FBI. The motion says in a May 18, 2023, 4-page Norfolk County DA Michael Morsi told, holy smokes, what is going on? Sorry, my phone is like all over the place here. I'm live. Don't bother me. I need to focus. Told the Office of Professional Responsibility at the U.S. Department of Justice that he was aware that multiple state witnesses in the Reed case had received subpoenas to appear before the federal grand jury. According to the defense motion, that May 18, 2023, letter from Morsi says that the first assistant at the U.S. Attorney's Office spoke with the DA's office disclosing an existence of federal investigation involving a number of witnesses in the Karen Reed case. There you go. I mean, it's all starting to come out. The obvious is here. We know what's going on. Remember, 6 degrees of separation. Remember my meme that I put up from Court TV? Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, right? Let's just all sweep it under the carpet and blame it on a girl, a young lady that had nothing to do with this. And I'm going to show you something today. And I don't think people have even seen this. An extended video of Karen Reed leaving John's house that night. Booking down the street. Booking. I was like, holy shit, she is driving fast. So if that's not a worried woman about her boyfriend and his whereabouts, I don't know what is. Goes on to say the defense motion said Morsi's letter also, we have confirmed that witnesses testified before the grand jury. But according to Friday filing, the DA's office told Reed's lawyers in the December 4th notice of discovery that it had no confirmation about whether any witnesses in Reed's case had testified before a grand jury. Reed's lawyer said that conduct, along with Morsi's August video statement, urges an end to harassment of witnesses, amounts to DA flouting ethical rules and Constitution due process requirements. The Commonwealth asserts, quote, the Commonwealth asserts in its court filing notice of discovery was patiently false, the other motion later reads. The other matter, Auntie Bev ordered Google to determine that if there's a security camera at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, the morning of John O'Keefe found lifeless in the front yard. I have no idea what is going on with my phone. What the hell? I get it. Yeah, it's messages. I know. All right, cool. Fantastic. Thank you. All right, let's get back to this. The home was owned by Boston police officer Brian Albert. Albert told the state grand jury that he received what he thought was a Google Nest camera for Christmas, but it had not been installed. Brian Albert's attorney said there was no camera at the home, and he doesn't object to having Google verify that. It remains unclear if letters in the Norfolk DA's exchange with federal authorities will be made public. Those letters concern the federal probe and defense wants them to be made public. This is a developing story, obviously. And again, Ted Daniels ripping it up and really reporting the goods. So thank you, Ted Daniels. We appreciate it. But I wanted to read that out to you all and just let you know there was a little bit of a update today, and pretty much the obvious. I mean, we were all there at the hearing the other day, but stated in print now. Oh, by the way, want to make everybody aware to this tonight. Any donations that come in, 25% of it will be donated to Karen Reed's Defense Fund tonight. So if you'd like to donate, you can. There's various ways. Nightbot will be dropping the various ways that you can do that. And I ultimately just like through the Buy Me a Coffee link that is attached to the top of the chat. So please feel free. Oh, okay. Let's get to the next order of business. We have a message from Turtleboy Aiden himself. I don't know if anybody saw this today. It was posted 3 hours ago, and I'll read through this if you have not seen it. Excuse me. Need a sip of water here. Editor's note. So it starts off here. It says, Canton cover up part 264, a message from Turtleboy to his supporters. Let me just widen my screen here. Okay. Editor's note, Aiden is incarcerated and cannot go live about court yesterday, but Brian from LTL True Crime, The Glarer, and Rita Lombardi were able to break down the entire 6-hour hearing. Rita went into it with an open mind, but was blown away by the lies the accuser admitted to and the horror Aiden went through. Aiden has written an article thanking Turtle Riders from prison, and we have the live if you want to go into that. But here is Aiden's statement. I want to thank everyone who showed up and support me yesterday. Reliving one of the most traumatic situations as the cause of trauma glared a smile at me was difficult, but seeing your faces made me feel like I wasn't alone. Although it wasn't the outcome we hoped for, excuse me, I still won because I got to publicly tell what really happened for the first time. Oh, excuse me. Jeez, I'm all over the place tonight. What is going on? I'm lucky to be alive after falling asleep on the highway and crashing my car after being forced to stay somewhere I didn't want to be until 5 a.m. And I have to confirm, I was there during that testimony that happened after the 2 o'clock break. So that session that I sat in wearing my sweatpants or my joggers that everybody got on me about, the trolls got on me about. Next time, you know what I'm going to do? Just for you, I'll dress in a 3-piece suit when I go to court. But anyway, I'll explain this. I went there actually in support, obviously, for Aiden, but I went out there the other day to support Tom. And while I was out there, I know I wasn't fully dressed for court, but I went in to use the restroom. When I went in to use the restroom, I noticed that Aiden was in the larger courtroom. So I peeked through the door. And standing there, the door opened because someone had to come out. When the door opened, the bailiff looked behind me, or court officer looked behind me, bailiff, court officer, and whispered, would you like to sit down? There's an empty seat. So I wasn't going to not take the opportunity to do that. And I think that if there was any unappropriate attire, he probably said, you can't come in. All he asked me to do when I walked the door was take my cap off, and I obliged. So anyway, we got that out of the way. I thought that was funny because that becomes the sticking point. You know, that comes the sticking point with these trolls. You know, that's the only thing. I didn't see you out there yesterday supporting, or I didn't see you out there protesting. You know, where were you? You know, where were you? So if you're for or against, where were you? You weren't there. We're going to talk about sweatpants now. Unbelievable. Anyway, all of the trauma came back yesterday, but it was worth it to get the truth out there. I'm so lucky to have the supporters like you being there for me during this ordeal. So it goes on to say the restraining order was a blessing in disguise, as Rita explains from the court testimony she heard yesterday. For 2 months, and I have been trying to extricate myself from this relationship. For 2 months, I have been manipulated with fake pregnancies and multiple fake abortions. Now a piece of paper forbids me from contacting her. I'm finally free. Being away from my kids and my life every day is painful, but I know the pain is temporary, and I'm a survivor. And being in in here will only make me stronger. Last night I did about 500 sit-ups during my rec time and 150 push-ups. This morning I ran 5 miles on a frozen basketball court and I did 30 pull-ups. I will emerge from jail mentally and physically strong than I have ever been. And I have to agree, he looked great in court, looked like he lost a little bit of weight, and definitely you could see the shoulders were getting built up. So good for him. Um, in 24 hours, many CEOs have told me that they have my back and they are disgusted that I'm here. Prisoners all know who I am and what I'm in for, and they know how to adjust it as well. I'm not here because of guns, drugs, or violence. I'm here for challenging the powerful institution that put them away. I'm not scared of prisoners because I get along with everyone. A skill I developed lifeguarding in Main Street, Worcester, and teaching at risk youth at an alternative school in Worcester. Your message and videograms help me get through the day. I read them all, but I can't message everyone back. Excuse me. Please keep them coming. Your act of kindness for a stronger like me are uh, inspirational. A turtle rider offered me a French bulldog puppy, which I accepted, and I will help and it will help me begin my new life when I leave here. Another turtle rider and friend who wouldn't want me to name did something amazing for my family, so I'm going to name him anyway. 2 days ago, Derek Carlson plowed my driveway and shoveled the stairs for my family. He saw my 8-year-old daughter crying because her cousins were in Dallas and were leaving that night. I don't know why I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. But they were at my parents' house in Worcester, which is 20 minutes away. She desperately uh, wanted to see them one more time, but couldn't because the roads were so bad. Derek volunteered to give my kids and their amazing mother a ride there at noon. Excuse me. Then went back to pick him back up at 4:30. It meant the world to my kids, and I'm in awe of Derek's kindness, who wanted nothing in return. He just wanted to do what he could to help, just like so many of you. A horrible and traumatic as this has been, I will get through it because I follow the lead of Karen Reed. She is my hero, and sometimes I look up to. Whenever I'm feeling desperate, I remind myself that I've been through and how she never gave up. Her smile is electric. Her confidence is inspiring. She's so unbreakable. And thanks to all of you who, so am I. Uh, goodwill defeat evil. The truth is being revealed, and karma is coming. I love this article. I think it's straight from the heart. I see a change in Turtleboy. I think it's an amazing change, and he's never going to stop being who he is. And that's what I really love about him. You know, being able to witness him in court and talking on the stand and really just speaking from who he was, you know. And I don't know why I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. My voice is just deciding to lose itself. So, um, I think this is a good change for him. I think that it's going to be, like you said, an experience that he can take from and better himself. And I think this time is allowing him to do that. It sucks that he's doing it in prison. That fucking jail. That sucks. He should be outside on the outside, decompressing and taking this time for himself. But very heartfelt, very cool, and I thought it was warranted, and it's just such a great thing. So really, really cool. And like I said, I was very honored last night. Um, Asked by him and his team to kind of host like we did last night, having the Glare and Reader up there with me last night was fantastic as well too. So it was just a very honorable experience, and I'm so ever thankful to be trusted to do that, and it just worked out really, really well. So um, all good stuff. All good stuff. Excuse me one second. I'm gonna go get a cough drop. All of a sudden, my voice decides it doesn't want to work, but we still have a couple of minutes here before the Canton Select Board meeting stream starts. I'm gonna pull up that page and we'll go into it live. Also, I think we got a couple of Vemos. What I'm gonna do is have Carrie take a total again, and um, so let's see, Carrie, if you can take a total. I got a 20 and a 10. So we're at 30 right now. And like I said, 25% of that will get donated towards Karen Reed's defense fund. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to grab a cough drop. I don't know why my voice is leaving me all of a sudden, but it's deciding to be a shithead again. So let me just bounce out for 2 seconds. Be right back. So what I want to do now is, oh, that's much better for my voice. What I want to do now is, while we have a little bit of time, we have a couple of minutes here. I saw something today that I have never seen, and it's the fuller video. It was on Life and Crime Network. Dropped a video, a 20-minute video about Karen Reed's case today. And I saw something in it that I have never seen before. And I thought it was a great segment, and I urge everybody to go over and watch it. But I have never seen the full video of Karen leaving John's house. I don't know if you all have, because usually Court TV, when they show it, they cut it off at a certain point. But this follows her car up entirely up the street. So I want to play that if you haven't seen it. And I thought this was actually a pretty good segment here. This is from Law and Crime.
It was a tail light or something like that, and
This
they were
guy at
able
the
to
end,
match that.
this lawyer at the end, which I thought he did pretty good. He said, well, there's a couple of certain ways that the defense is going to come at this. You know, obviously they're saying that John O'Keefe was attacked inside. And the other thing is they're going to try to blame this all on Jen McCabe, and said Jen McCabe drove the SUV that hit John. I'm like, where the hell did that guy get that from? Where did he get that theory? None of us have ever said that. Karen Reed's defense team has never even said that. So I don't even where he said that. Maybe this is something we can go back and revisit. But I want to play this section here. As I said, it's interesting because it shows the full video of actually Karen driving up the street, which I've never seen.
That's circumstantial evidence of potentially guilt. But at the same time, you got to put Karen Reed in the driver's seat at the time of the incident in question, as opposed to her car just potentially being used, or a car that's similar to hers.
Welcome in, everybody.
Used to commit the murder of John O'Keefe. It will all depend. They need to be able to put her in the area
now watch
at the time in question. They need to put her in the driver's seat of the vehicle that was used to kill John O'Keefe. And they also got to eliminate any kind of possible doubt that this was in fact a police cover-up. Usually in these types of cases, defense attorneys don't really give away their defense strategy this far.
And you can see the tail light still out, still cracked, leaving. You can see it.
All depend. They need to be able to put her in the area at the time in question. They need to put her in the driver's seat of the vehicle that was used to kill John O'Keefe. And they also got to eliminate any kind of possible doubt that this was in fact a police cover-up. Usually in these types of cases, defense attorneys don't really give away their defense strategy this far ahead of trial.
And you can still see the cracked taillight where she made contact with John's SUV when she left. Ready? Let's watch it again. She's booking.
And
she turns that corner. She starts to straighten out on the road and then guns it.
And they also got to eliminate any kind of possible doubt that
look at the snow. Look how snow covered that is. Tons of it. I mean, there's a good 5-6 inches on the ground right there. She starts booking it.
Was in fact a police cover-up. Usually in these types of cases, defense attorneys don't really give away their defense strategy. this far ahead of trial, but they're using this aggressive an approach to see if they.
And then what I want to do is go back to this.
And a cover up. So it's definitely, if it's admitted.
Investigation itself. Reports say state witnesses have been subpoenaed to appear in front of the grand jury. Tympanik says this could be a win for the defense.
Well, remember, with federal grand juries, they are secret by nature. So I definitely think that plays toward Karen Reed's defense. I believe the motion was itself impounded today by the state, by the judge. And I definitely think the jury's going to be wondering if it ever comes out or if it's ever admitted into trial, what are they investigating? Are they investigating somebody else committed the death of John O'Keefe? Or are they investigating the Boston Police Department for actual corruption and a cover-up? So it's definitely, if it's admitted, it opens up a whole new can of worms in this case that would take the case to places no prosecutor or defense attorney could ever imagine.
While the case has already received a decent amount of attention, Tympanik says he believes the interest will only grow as the case moves forward to trial. If we're looking ahead to the trial in March when it's set to begin, what do you expect?
I expect
okay, I come corrected. I get it. It's not 5 or 6 inches. It's 2 inches. Sorry, I come corrected.
In both the media and in the courtroom. The biggest thing is, if you're the prosecutor, is keep the evidence and the case based on the facts. Don't play the defense's game. Don't try to basically right off the bat try to eliminate every conspiracy and talk about and do their job for them. You need to present your case and prove your burden. And then when the defense goes, then they get to put on their case and you can attack their case. If you're the defense, your case is reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt. The conspiracy, the cover up, that's basically your plan B if we're using terms from The Practice, the TV show. It's like, hey, if we can't beat them on reasonable doubt, we can point the finger at anything else. And they've already kind of tipped their hand about what they're going to do. It's most likely going to be a situation where Jennifer McCabe is the one who is actually the driver of the vehicle, because
who the fuck ever said that? What theory have I ever heard that someone said that? I'm like, where did you hear that theory? I've never heard that theory get thrown around. Now we're going to talk about the snow. Okay. It was like 2 inches of snow on the ground. Oh my God. Do you want to talk about my sweatpants too? My joggers that I wore? I have them hanging over there. You want me to get those? We'll talk about those tonight. What the fuck? Whoever said Jen McCabe was driving? Jen McCabe was the one.
Cases,
driving.
Reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt. The conspiracy, the cover up, that's basically your plan B if we're using terms from The Practice, the TV show. It's like, hey, if we can't beat them on reasonable doubt, we can point the finger at anything else. And they've already kind of tipped their hand about what they're going to do. It's most likely going to be a situation where Jennifer McCabe is the one who is actually the driver of the vehicle, because they're claiming that she, before anybody knew John O'Keefe,
we're getting there. We're going to get to the select board meeting. Hang on.
She searches on Google, how long does it take for someone to die in the cold? That is very likely where their plan B is going to go if they can't get the case kicked on reasonable doubt, or they think that the state actually, well, the Commonwealth, proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's where I think they'd go with the case.
What do you think about Karen Reed testifying? Should she take the stand?
I honestly don't think she should. The reason is unless they make their case, by they, I mean the Commonwealth, you just open yourself up to many different.
Okay, the link that I'm trying to get to the select board meeting is a meeting from January 3rd. So I cannot find the live right now. So I don't know where that is. I'm looking for it right now. It's not live. It's showing a repeat. And I'm right on the Canton website. Takes me to a repeat that's on right now. I'm working on it. Scroll down the page. I did. let's see. It'll show repeat now. New one starts. Okay. So we'll go into it.
I have two folks I'd like to recognize.
I got it. Got it.
Passed away peacefully on December 20th, 2023. Jack was born in Norwood and lived a life marked by dedication to his community.
Got it. Thank you.
An unwavering commitment to his family and friends. He was the beloved wife of Nancy A. Ruane and devoted father to Kathy Delbane and her husband Kenny of Peabody, Cindy LeBlanc and her husband Bob of Mansfield, and the late John F. Ruane III and his wife Renee of Canton. Jack graduated from Canton High School, class of 1959. From there, he graduated from Northeastern University and later received a master's degree from Anna Marie College. Jack joined the Canton Police Department in 1964, and he retired in 1995, serving 31 years in the Canton Police Department, the last 7 as chief. Jack's father, John Ruane, the senior, was also chief, and his son served behind Jack, being a detective, and he passed away a couple of years ago. Jack and his family come a long line serving this community. I would just ask that you keep the Ruane family in your thoughts and prayers. The second person I'd like to recognize would be Ada Goodrich. Ada Goodrich of Canton passed away peacefully on December 27th, surrounded by her loving family. Born in Boston on January 24th, 1929, she was a loving daughter of the late George and Mildred Gibbs and beloved sister of the late George and John Gibbs. She moved to Canton when she was married the love of her life, William Goodrich Jr., to whom she was married for 56 years before, unfortunately, her husband passed away in 2007. She was a loving mother of 8 children: William, Robert, David, Edward, Deborah, Scott, James, Susan. She dedicated her life to raising her children, became the matriarch of a large, devoted family that eventually grew to include 27 grandchildren and 14 great-grandchildren and counting. She was a longtime member of the Canton Recreation Commission, serving from 1978 to 2007, 29 years, serving the people. Her efforts in part provided years of enjoyment for Canton residents with the 4th of July festivities. She was also an active member of the United Church of Christ. And one of the happiest moments of my time in this board was when she had always said that there was never a flagpole at the Billy Armando Center. So we decided, got together, and we asked her to come down. She wanted something to show her. And we dedicated the flagpole in front of the gazebo. It's the Ada Goodrich flagpole. And she was so happy and so proud that that flagpole was there. And the flag is lit up at night like it should be. So I'd ask you if you could please keep Ada Goodrich's family in your thoughts and prayers. May she rest in peace, and please keep Jack Ruane and his family in your memories for the dedication, devotion that they served this town with honor. Thank you. Thank you, members, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Conley.
There's Rita.
Mr. Larkin.
The first item on the agenda is the amendment to the development agreement, but we're going to postpone that until our next meeting.
Okay, moving on.
So next, this is a license. So this is a renewal of Class 2 license for SL Auto Group at 35 Industrial Drive. The license recently expired. The licensee submitted a complete renewal application package. So I move that the board approve the annual renewal of Class 2 license for SL Auto Group, 35 Industrial Drive.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
I move, at the recommendation of the Human Resource Director, I move that the board approve the revised sick bank committee policy and to appoint AFSCME member Tamara Stock to the sick bank committee.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Oh, excuse me, before you go on, I just want to Mr. Albert called me this evening. He couldn't make it because of a family commitment. But I just wanted to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chair, at the recommendation of the town accountant and the human resource director, I move that the board appoint accounting specialist for payroll, Deborah Gallagher.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
The town planner submitted 5 zoning articles to be placed on the annual town meeting warrant. These articles are being referred to the planning board for deliberation at their public meetings. So I move that the board refer the zoning articles to the planning board.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
I move that the board authorize the finance director to sign a personal service contract with the former town accountant.
Motion been made and seconded. That's just to kind of make this transition go smooth.
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
so
common.
That's, okay. So just let everybody know what that is. So motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Say your name, if you could say your name and your address.
Sean Wilburn, 89 Randolph Terrace. Is the service contract for the police audit that Mrs. Butters is being retained for?
No, this is, as I just explained, this was to help the transition of the new town accountant to, so it's a smooth transition going forward.
So it has nothing to do with the
Not,
independent
not,
police audit?
not what we're voting on right now, no.
Nothing. Okay, thank you.
Next.
I move that the board, there's a whole bunch of these, accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $500 from Pulse Systems for the police department.
Motion made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, sorry.
I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation.
That's not me. That's their stream.
All in favor?
There we go.
Aye.
4-0.
I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $500 from Pulse Systems for the fire department.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 4-0.
I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $1,500 from Making an Impact program from Boston Mutual for Parks and Recreation Department.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye. I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $1,000 from Marilyn and Harold March for the police department.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $50 from Jenny Sun for the police department.
Motion made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $50,000 from Outfront Media.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? State your name and your address, please.
Before I do that, is there a way that in the future we can just write down our address since we're all quite aware how public these meetings have come? I don't feel comfortable with
For the record.
So it's in the bylaws. That's
how
the
come in
public
other
meetings are
town
run.
meetings we're allowed to write our address and just state that we're a
Did you
Canton
want to speak?
resident.
Okay.
I do, I'm just
it's
suggesting.
It's in
Okay.
our bylaws right now, so if we could just move on, please.
Yep. So regarding the
Again,
50,000,
again,
Jennifer O'Donnell, 16 Walnut Knolls, Canton, Massachusetts. All right. So the $50,000 donation, are you aware of how much this company has donated to us in the past year?
I don't have those figures in front of me, but I'm sure we have a
A
record.
rough idea? Any idea?
Actually, Mr. Do you have?
How much they've donated this year?
It's an annual donation, so this company, this is the $50,000.
It's an
So,
annual donation, but it's made monthly.
Oh, no,
They've
it's
made
not-
a
it's not
donation
made monthly.
in
It's-
every single select board meeting for the past year. And it's well over $500,000 at this point. So my question would be, yes?
No, go ahead. I'm listening
Yeah.
to your question.
We have billboard agreements with several locations. So the donations that are accepted are for different locations.
So we have that many locations that there are over 12 billboards
No, no,
or 24 billboards?
No,
Because
this-
it's
Not it.
every single select board meeting, there
There's-
is a
there-
donation
no,
made.
There hasn't been a
It's
donation
not
on every
true.
select board meeting. As
There
far as
is, actually. There is.
Front media.
Yes, there is.
I'd have to look.
over
no,
503
There are three. I'm pretty sure there's three.
There is.
billboards.
So, all right. So we've established that, I mean, we can look at the agenda for each meeting and you will be approving between $12,500, $50,000, and then there's an increment of $141,000 made as well. So it alternates between the $1,250 and the $50,000,
Okay.
but it's made every single select board meeting on record.
Well,
So I
don't-
also
no,
would
that's
like
not
to
true.
know, where
That's
does
not
that
true.
money go? Because it's being made as a donation.
It goes into a mitigation account.
The mitigation account?
Yes.
Okay, so have we had any active lawsuits that would have been paid out this year?
As far as the mitigation.
The mitigation, would that be, okay. So
Excuse me,
would
Mr.
that
Chairman?
money have been
Excuse me,
spent?
Mr.
I
Doolittle.
actually found the numbers for the donations to that account.
Yep.
So FY '23, it was a total of $288,749. FY '24, it was $117,500.
So on January 10th, 23, it was $62,050. On January 31st, 23, it was $141,249. On 3/14, it was $12,500. On 3/28, it was $12,500. On 4/11, it was $50,000. On June 20th, it was $1250. On July 11th, it was $50,000. On September 12th, it was $12,500. On October 10th, it was $50,000. On October 23rd, it was $50,000. I couldn't find November, but here we are the first week of January and we're at 50,000 again. So again, how many billboards do we have and where is that money going? And
Again, I think we have three billboards and it goes into a mitigation account. The mitigation account was set up.
so the donations are for the billboards. Who negotiated that deal? Why wasn't there a?
Oh, I
That was
love
not long
this.
before me, but I have town
Okay,
council that
I'm
can
out.
speak to.
Well, you've been here for a really long time. Do you know who negotiated that deal with Outfront Media?
Mr. Chair, why don't we just have Mr. Durensis explain how the billboard
Durensis,
accounts are?
I'm going to defer that to the town council, how this is set up.
Yep.
Everybody's shuffling now. They don't want to answer. I'm going to try to be as quiet as I can, but I'm loving this.
Good evening, everybody. The billboards are not on town
Do we
property.
have to say our name and
Yeah,
address?
Is the town council, Mr.
Paul
Lorenz, if you could just
Lorenz.
identify yourself as town council, please.
260 Franklin Street, Boston, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
These billboards are not on town property. So these payments are not lease payments. These are, if there's a grant agreement, the wording of which we worked on, that fits under a statute that allows the town to accept grants and use it for the purposes set forth in the grant agreement. So it's equivalent, it's under a statute for donations and grants. These payments are made not because we own any property or we're leasing any property.
Yeah.
If those were the case, then they have to.
Getchell Way, Canton, Massachusetts, isn't the
Excuse me,
location.
let's go, excuse me, please go through the chair, please.
Okay, it's the location of one of the billboards on 24 next to Showcase Cinemas, and it's
Okay.
on Canton land. So I'm confused with your explanation.
No, as far as I know, they're not on Canton land.
Oh. Anyone have an explanation?
They're on private property.
Private
They
property?
may be located in Canton, but they're on private property.
Okay. So again, those funds, who has access to those funds?
Under the state law, the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. Who votes and delegates that those funds are
Through the
allowed?
chair.
to be
Again,
The
I'm going to
chair.
ask you, again, please, go through the chair.
But he
But
was
just-
answering these
but just go through the chair,
questions.
please,
I was
please.
directed to, okay. Who has access to the funds? In the past, what have these funds been used
Do you have
for,
that?
Chair? In the past, what have the funds been used for?
I do have that, I'm going to get that information for you right now. Everything that those funds have gone into a mitigation account. The purpose of the mitigation account was to have funds available to act on something that we needed to act on that couldn't wait to go through,
Of course.
waiting
So
to
I'd
go
love
through
to know
town
what
meeting.
those
So
are.
I have here a list, and you can even have this list if you like.
I
This is
love
this is
They're paper
this is all-
shuffling.
this is all the money that has been raised. This is all the money that has been spent. There has been nothing that has ever been spent without an open meeting and voted on. There's nothing done outside of an open meeting to spend any of this money. And if you look at here, it's from 2011 up until 2024. And it gives you a breakdown of everything that was spent, what is in the account. And that should answer all your questions.
All right. So it'll say how much is left. The board only has to vote on it. For as far as the 3 billboards that are on Canton property that we receive donations on private land for, do we as a town have a say on what goes on those billboards? Like, if there was something that was controversial that was meant to go on a billboard, would the company have to present it to you guys? I don't know who to
I
direct
can't
it
answer
to.
that. I would, we're not involved with the advertising of it.
But we
Okay.
have a right to, if it's controversial or disruptive, like if they're a gentleman's club or something of that.
Yeah.
That's not permitted.
But would they have to run it by you first? Is there an agreement made, a contract that states that they
Yes.
have to run it by you?
Yes.
So would we be able to get a copy of the contract that you have with them?
Somewhere, I don't know where it is, but.
But there should be a contract, right?
It's public record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for your
Well,
time.
thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
You too, thank you.
Hi, Eliza Colburn, 89 Randolph Terrace. If you could help clarify, I'm not understanding why a billboard company is making this amount of donation to us. And I understand mitigation is basically emergency fund, right?
yeah.
Do we have other sources for that
So good.
mitigation? Or why is this billboard company funding so much potential mitigation response?
Again, I wasn't part of this deal.
I defer to Mr. Durensis, can explain the history of the billboard mitigation fund.
The billboards are not legal under the zoning laws of the town, and therefore they sought an exemption from those provisions that would allow the billboards to exist. As part of the town agreeing, the planning board and others involved, as part of the town agreeing to allow a use that's not allowed in that area, they undertook to make these grants to the town to mitigate the effect of having billboards in a place that they weren't really designed to be in.
Liza Colburn, 89 Randolph Terrace. So just so I'm understanding this, so it's almost like real estate where the way that they can navigate use of those billboards is by a donation because they're not permitted? Is that
Again, I
what-
would have to defer to Mr. Lorenzo.
It's like real estate sort of, but in the form of a donation, but then that goes into a fund to be determined however you see it. I think there's 1.1 million that's
Yeah, well,
been
it's
in
right,
there
it's right on that
at some
page, yeah,
point.
over the years, yep.
1.1 million
1.4 right
Is-
now.
is the current balance in that fund or?
That's the total revenues. Oh, no,
I-
sorry, the
I'm
current
sorry,
balance
this-
is 1,138,000
Okay.
is the current balance.
And, okay, and then the use of those funds gets decided by the select board.
That's correct. Yep, and usually they're for one-time unanticipated costs. And most of the projects that you'll see on that paper, all of the projects are for the benefit of the town.
It's like catastrophic flood or.
No, not really. For unforeseen projects like benches at the senior center or a parking lot at the housing authority. Things
Tina, thank you
that
for the 10.
were-
Perks there and there.
No,
for,
I wouldn't call
like,
them
No,
perks.
public safety.
Public safety.
I would-
Public safety, if you.
That's what I'm getting
If you
at,
go
like-
by the loose school, there was never a turnaround driveway there where the buses were. The buses used to go behind the school because I live next to the loose school. And I saw more than once a child almost got run over. So I mentioned to the schools, Mr. Chairman, thank you, to the schools saying, we got to get something. So the cost was $150,000. They didn't have the money. So I wasn't going to sit by and let a student get run over. And this board at the time donated the mitigation for the safety of the kids at the loose school. It also has the lights that are going on at Randolph Street and York Street.
Yeah.
Those lights are going to be paid for the mitigation for the 40B housing project that was years ago. And also if you go near the Lazy S corrals, one winter, one Christmas season, a holiday season, a horse got hit. And they asked if we could have, if you go by there now, they press the lights and they flash and so the horses can cross. That's another program. And this board votes on.
Oh, excuse me,
So
Go Jen.
would
So
it
then
be, would it be
and
safe to
every
say?
decision that's made is voted by this board publicly.
Yes, but as residents, if we wanted to ask for some sort of emergency funding, we could say, would you use the mitigation funds for this? We can
what-
propose that?
We
Is that-
could, I mean, yeah.
Absolutely, I wouldn't see a problem with that, absolutely.
Rather than waiting till a town meeting
Well,
or.
these, like,
motion.
again, these were money's put aside to sit there, so we could act on something without having to wait to go through town meeting.
And
if
is
we had
there a
to act on
max to what you can act on without it going through town meeting?
I
No.
didn't, no.
No, I just took a couple of examples, Mr. Chair, of
Pure
some
discretion.
recent projects that you voted mitigation funds. The Kennedy School Snack Shack for Little League, we used.
There's donations for that.
Yep, and there's also mitigation funds that were approved by you. And then most recently, the Paul Revere Heritage Bathrooms.
Yep.
Mr. Hines was in here and asked for mitigation funds so they could complete that project. So typically,
project,
what I'm saying is typically the projects that you approve through mitigation are for the benefit of the town of Canton. They're always voted at a public meeting. So everybody, knows where that money is being diverted to.
But the numbers don't add up here.
Oh, like,
Well,
Because you're
I'm-
already at
okay.
Oh, this
over
is so
$500,000,
good.
we could
And
certainly,
that's not accounted
okay.
for on here.
Mr.
And
Chair,
there's only
excuse me, Mr. Dooley.
1.4 million in the reserve.
we
For
can certainly.
something that's been around way longer than anyone can
Well,
remember.
We can certainly help the speaker understand the numbers. These numbers are from directly from the town accountant yesterday, the most up-to-date numbers. So if there are questions about the numbers and them adding up, I suggest that you should give the town accountant a call and she can take her through it.
Mr. Chair, if you,
Mr.
yeah.
McCourt,
Just a question, open question, maybe to town council. When, one of the things that you stated was that the billboards were not allowed in the zoning, but the billboards were probably there prior to zoning, if I believe right, if I'm correct, and that they wanted to maintain them. back in the day. I don't know when this billboard started. I don't know when this all started. Could have been in the 80s. I don't know when this started. But I know for a fact on 138, there were billboards at the dealership for as long as I can remember. That's on private property. If the zoning might not have been around for the restrictions of those. I'm not saying that's the case.
Cheryl, thank you.
They might not have
Thanks for
been
the support and
restricted
supporting
back
Karen.
then.
Thank you.
And then when the zoning changed or whatever, there might have been a group that mitigated whether they're already up there, let's use them, or they want to use them, they've been using them to continue using them at some mitigation type of agreement back. What date, I have no idea. But once again, there's a lot of things in this community that date back into the 50s and 60s and 70s that no one in this room know about, that, we inherit as a select board sometimes, but it's always good to, and as one of the speakers said, as about the accounting, this board goes to the accounting department and the finance department for most of its numbers. I being one select board member that's new, but I've been on multiple boards, especially on the recreation or whatever. And whenever I had a question, I always went to the finance department and the accounting department to determine that question. To ask us exactly what's in that account would be crazy for me to even try to answer. That's why we have.
Oh, we do have it.
That
We
came
do.
from our finance department or accounting department. So that's what I have to look at. And if there's a discrepancy in that, we'll look into that finance. But in my experience with the finance department, I had nothing but success in basically the running of it now, and when Jim Merger and his department were running it. They have the answers to the numbers. And it's just ask the right question to the right person to get that answer. But I would direct those questions about the finances to the finance department and the accounting department. Thank you.
Rita Lombardi, 8 Kings Road. I
Rita!
just want to clarify what I heard. The billboard is on Canton property, but it's not our billboard, and it's by Legacy Place. Is that what I heard?
No.
Legacy Place?
No, there's
No.
nothing by
So-
Legacy Place.
Can you just explain it? I know the attorney explained it. I just want to clarify. I heard Legacy Place and I heard billboard.
Mr. Chairman, one second.
Legacy
Mayor.
Place.
I said at least one is on town property.
You said that.
They said it's private property. So we have 3 different answers to your
It's
question.
none of it's on Canton property.
Except for this one that's on the
What's
Randolph
this one? I don't know what this one is.
That's
So this,
50.
Okay,
Randolph
okay,
Way.
okay.
That's not even,
That's
there's
private,
no-
that's
there's
private
nothing there.
property.
Because it's the private land. It's land.
There's no billboard there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is.
Get your way.
It's right in front of Showcase Cinemas.
So
Get
you
your
need,
way,
well,
yeah.
Ms. O'Donnell, you need
No,
to
that's
be
the one
at
we're
the
going-
microphone because nobody at home can hear you. I
I'll
understand
have
we can hear you. All right, but you also
It
need to be.
is on
Ms.
Canton
O'Donnell,
land. There is a
Ms. O'Donnell, you
billboard.
need to be recognized by the chair. You're
Jennifer.
speaking from the audience. That
Oh,
can't happen.
Okay.
So,
Do I speak now?
Please.
Oh,
continue.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So 50
Oh, good.
Getchell Way may not be a mapped street address, but it is indeed
What's
the
it here?
street address that a billboard is on, and it's the Randolph Canton line in front of Showcase Cinemas facing Route 24.
It's
For
in front of
your
the-
vault of a memory, I'm having a hard time believing you don't know where this is.
Oh, no, I know what Gets Away is. It's before the old nursing home.
You don't
Now
know
it's
where
a-
the 3 billboards on your precious town property are,
It's not on town property again. I'm
but
gonna
it
tell you.
is on town property.
Get Your Way is a private property, and it's in front of it used to be a nursing home, if you remember.
Is it
And now it's a,
Canton
now it's a,
02021 or
no, it's
Randolph?
02021.
Okay,
on
so it's
private-
Canton land. What
It's-
are you talking about?
Okay,
not
all right.
arguing.
We're not going to
on
get into
private
arguments about that.
property.
We're just
It's
saying
in
that's
front
on
of the
private
nursing
property.
home. Used to be a nursing home.
Yeah.
Now it's a rehab, a drug rehab. So
Is
you'd
it
think it was in
Canton
Randolph, you'd think it was in
land?
Randolph, but it's not Canton. It's not Canton.
It's not Canton property,
No,
you're
it's
saying.
not.
It's not Canton property.
I
But
think
it's
You're
in-
using
okay,
a
I'm not gonna- we're not gonna
technicality
get
of
into-
You're
words.
talking,
It is Canton registered land. Yes or no?
As far as I know, it's no.
Is it deeded to Canton?
If it's private property, it's a moot point. If it's, this is,
No, it's because he's arguing whether or not it's actually Canton land.
he's not arguing that. He's saying it's the
Yeah.
that the town of Canton does
Town
not,
doesn't
the
own it,
town
but the
does not
town is
own that
Town doesn't
property.
benefiting
own it.
over $500,000 at their 5 members of the town get at their discretion, and we don't know where it's going.
It's
These
right
numbers
there.
don't-
You're getting the record right there.
they
Everything
don't
is
add
voted.
up, and we're
Everything
not
is voted
asking
on. But
questions, so I am.
everything is voted on and we've explained to it in a public meeting. So for you to say that we don't know what's being spent, you're wrong, because everything that comes on, it is on the agenda and it's voted on again, so everybody can see where the money is being spent. And there is a copy of it right there, all the
Okay.
money that was being
So
spent.
I think that we both have homework to do this week, because the numbers aren't adding up.
Again,
to
we'll
what is on
okay,
your
again,
agenda
that would be the
every
finance
single
department. I
meeting.
can't, like I said, I'm not gonna sit and dispute numbers
That's fine.
at this point.
I'll bring the numbers next time as well.
Okay, and we'll have the finance director here
Okay, and
to
I'll bring
address that.
each of the agendas with each of the donations that you voted on.
That will be fine.
Cool.
That will be fine.
Great. I'll see you next time.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. McCourt.
just to clarify, as far as I know and have determined just through this hearing right now, that there is no billboards on Canton property. If there is, as some people, some speakers have talked to, then we can look into it. But as far as I'm concerned right now, and I know, there is no billboards on town property.
Town property.
Town property.
You guys have to get,
Canton
They're in the town.
it's in the town of Canton, but we don't own the property.
Again, please,
Town of Canton owns
okay, we're gonna move on.
Would you like me to say my name again?
Please, just.
Rita Lombardi, 8 Kings Road. So I'm just trying to understand, it's kind of perplexing that a billboard publishing company is giving us all this money for what? What are they getting in return? I mean, everybody's nice, and maybe they own their private property. I haven't looked into any of this. So it's just kind of curious to residents. I mean, everybody likes money, but usually somebody has a motive on giving that to you. And we're just kind of curious as to what the motive might be for this company to make this kind of donation to us annually. Does anybody have an answer to that?
Could Mr. Durensis can explain the rationale behind grants and donations?
Well, there was a Supreme Judicial Court case that said basically that a developer or a builder can make donations to a municipality or grants to a municipality in mitigation of a project that they want to build. That was a legitimate receipt for the gift grant accounts. So what we have here, what their motive is, that when somebody wants to build something or somebody wants to continue something that's no longer permitted, from the developer's point of view, they make donations to communities across the state. To the
Excuse me,
communities.
if you're gonna, okay.
To the communities, not to any individuals, to the community. Pursuant to agreements that are on file, written agreements, in mitigation of what they're doing. So if somebody wants to, whatever the project is, there's usually some impact on the community for that project.
Again, please, if you. Okay, Mr. Durensis.
So the quote motivation for the donations is to persuade a community by giving money to help mitigate the effect of that business activity, that development on the community.
So can I ask a question while he's still there? Because I know it's you that's probably going to answer it. What is the project or projects that they're seeking to do?
Billboards.
Okay, so they're looking to put up billboards in Canton, but we don't have any billboards. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we don't have any billboards.
They want to put up
The
billboards.
town of Canton doesn't have any billboards.
So this
The town
billboard,
is not in the business of having billboards.
no, I understand. I understand that. We're just trying to understand. We have a billboard marketing company giving us significant monies, and we're just wondering what the town has signed us up for in return for getting that money. We're okay with taking the money. We just want to understand, it's a give and take. What are they giving us? If they don't have an active business in our town, like when Reebok was in the town, Reebok would give plenty of things to the town. That's because they were in the town. They were family. Other organizations, I'm sure Top Golf, you've got a great connection with Top Golf. I'm waiting for that Canton Day at Top Golf, but that's another discussion.
I am too.
What are they getting for giving us all this money? That's what I'd like to know.
Can I just there's other types of mitigation. In Boston, they call it linkage. All right. In Canton, in the communities, they call it mitigation. Like this board, not these members, we sued the town of Westwood and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts when they tried to put up Westwood Station and University Station. Now it's Westwood University.
I remember.
Would they have to call the
We
heavy
sued
hitter
them,
in?
And we came to an agreement that they would rebuild. They weren't going to rebuild all the road how it looks now. They weren't going to do any of that. They told us you're on your own.
Shame on them.
So we took them, held their feet to the fire, and former members negotiated, and I was a member of this board. That's how the road got done. It's 5 to 6 years behind schedule. It's done now, and the off ramp has taken a lot of traffic off the side streets, which is great. But that's called mitigation, and that was built in when we sat down with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and worked out an agreement that they would widen the roads, over 95, and that Top Golf wasn't there. Because people ask me, well, Top Golf, how you did this for Top Golf? No, it was for Westwood Station. It was over on the Ponset River and over Amtrak into Westwood Station. 2.5 lanes this way, 2.5 lanes this way. The off ramp, and now the on ramp to 95 with the signs and the lights. And now they finished it. That all came from us, the board, the town, sitting down and saying, we took them to court.
Yeah, and I was thrilled with what you guys all achieved with that.
And it looks beautiful now. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's absolutely, it's state of the art, no question.
And they weren't going to. Excuse me, Mr. They weren't going to do anything.
Right. I know they weren't, and that's very disappointing. They were also going to make, Canton Street a dead end. But anyways, so right there, you gave me 2 examples, give and take, right? I only hear take from us. What are we giving them?
To put the billboards up.
Okay.
To put the billboards up
at 128 and 95.
And where on 128 and 95 would they be?
128 is in front of 250 Royal.
250 Royal. Yes.
Liberty
Okay.
Mutual and Boston Mutual. Excuse me. not
Yes, I
Liberty.
know what you're
Thank
talking
God
about.
forgive me.
Yep.
Boston Mutual was very good to this town.
Yep.
If there's the Duncan brands came
Yes.
to us and they worked. Duncan brands worked it out, and that's where the one is.
And what's the other one?
And one's on 95 on heading south near Marshall Street, Marshall Paper Tube. If anyone remembers where Marshall Paper Tube is no longer in business. For years, that's where if you had your toilet paper,
Okay.
that's where the rolls were made for years.
Okay.
So that's right there. That's on the Canton Stoughton line.
Okay. Is one going up by the Legacy Place at all?
No.
No, nothing's
We
going
have
up by
nothing to do with Legacy Places in Dedham.
No, I realize that.
Yeah,
Coincidentally, there was another threat lodged against me today. And I work at Legacy Place, and somebody threatened to put something disparaging up on the billboard at Legacy Place. So that's kind of what got my interest going as to how could this be connected. So I'm happy that it's not at there. And if somebody wants to put my billboard picture up, well, go for it.
The third one is farther down on 95.
Okay.
Right. If you go down to Sharma Industrial Park.
Okay.
And if you're heading south again,
yeah,
it's before the railroad tracks.
Okay.
That was the original billboard.
I'm going to give
Mr. Loughlin, specifically.
Okay, thank you.
I hope it helps.
So, Mr. Loughlin, did you have?
So just to the speaker, because I know there was a question of the give and take. So when these agreements are negotiated and worked out, because the billboard is a continuous, basically eyesore, the money that we're getting is a percentage of the revenue that Outfront Media gets from all these people that are advertising. So that's why it's a recurring expense, because that's part of the agreement that X percentage of what you sell this month will come to the town of Canton in exchange for you allowing us to have this zoning relief, et cetera, et cetera.
Sean Colburn, 89 Randolph Terrace. If you could just clarify one thing for me. You've stated that none of the billboards are on town property, correct? So they're owned by a private entity?
They're on private property.
Are they-
That's it. It happens to be in Canton, but they're on private property.
Private property. So they're owned by somebody, a corporation, a resident? Do we
What-
happen to know?
I would-
A business.
They're all different, but it's
Different
not, the
ones.
town doesn't own the land.
Yeah.
And that the,
Do we happen to know if any of the property is owned by a Canton resident?
I don't know. Offhand, I don't know.
Thank you,
Two of
Jules.
them are
Appreciate your
businesses.
support.
Businesses
Thank you,
in Canton.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
I don't
support.
know if the owner lives in Canton or not.
Okay.
But there are businesses, they pay taxes.
Okay.
25% of all
my next
donations
question,
tonight will go to
I
Karen Reed's
heard that
defense
you
fund.
stated that some of this mitigation money has been used for public safety concerns around the town. Could that be something that we could use to purchase body cameras for the police department? Because I know that fiscally that the chief had stated that it was quite an expensive agenda item to purchase all at once. Could we make a motion to have our police department outfitted with body cameras for each patrolman?
We could,
So it was,
With that money, I think that would be money that's well spent. As far as driveways and horse crossings and stuff, I think that police body cameras would be just as important as any of that stuff.
so it wasn't the body cameras, it was the software and the ongoing maintenance of the
Right.
recording. And that would be more than we would want. We would want to put an expense that big to the town
Right.
at town meeting.
You said there's $1.4 million in there right now. Is it possible that we could front the money up and then go back and mitigate with the town at special town, at the annual town meeting
Yeah.
to reimburse us of the money that we spent going forward?
Mr. Coleman, some of that money's already designated, like there's $600,000 set aside for the new lights at Randolph Street and York Street. So we can't touch that money because that's for that. And you mentioned, if you see the flashing signs around town, at the roundabout and at a lot of the intersections, they press the button and they flash.
Yep.
A lot of those were purchased because we deemed it, neighbors would come and say, someone's going to get hurt. And to me, that's a lot of it comes from that way.
so.
But at $50,000 we're receiving a month, I think that's a pretty substantial amount of money.
It's not a month.
No,
That's
it's
not,
not gonna get a
it's
month.
not a month. It's not a month.
No.
No.
It varies from month to month. So
Yes.
what is the annual mitigation? Is it upwards of 250,000?
For year 2011, start there was 35,000. For 2395 Myrtle, it's 289,000.
A year annually?
That was for year 2023.
Some of that money's set aside.
2023.
That's what I'm looking at now, yeah.
I think that.
But again, another thing to answer is when you talk about some of the mitigations, correct me if I'm wrong, but when these mitigations, like it was up at Saddleback, though that money was put into mitigations specifically for those projects.
Mhm.
So they are in the mitigation account, but they are already when they
already
went into
allocated, is
they
what
were
you're saying?
already exactly they were already allocated for those
Is
projects.
it possible before annual town meeting that we could allocate some money within the next select board meeting to make this a top priority for the police department, for the safety of the community and our officers, to allocate some of that money that we receive in mitigation for police body cameras?
Well, they're already funded.
Yeah, it's not the body cameras, like that's funded,
No,
that's
okay,
paid
okay,
for.
correct. The software that.
It's the software.
Needs to.
But the software is a total complete package that is very expensive. So what mitigation money we have wouldn't pay for it because so much of it is already allocated, or the mitigation accounts when they were set up are set up for specific uses. So the reservoir fund mitigation account can only be used on projects for downtown, right? No, Paul Revere.
And
Downtown.
downtown. And the downtown.
So
Correct.
there are accounts that we're limited to what we can spend it on. So I believe the police chief has this in her budget and that we will be voting on this at annual town
You
meeting.
know that for a fact that it is in the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
It is?
It's in our capital
Okay.
budget.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, once again, the mitigation funds are typically used for unforeseen expenses. So things like body cameras and department operational expenses, those things are planned. They're incorporated into their annual budget requests so that mitigation funds aren't used for those types of things. It's for unplanned, unforeseen expenses for the benefit of Canton.
Okay, thank you.
This gentleman over here.
Sir.
That 600,000 out of those, that 1.4 million, was that voted on by the town? Or
The select board decide where that money went.
it was part of the mitigation with Avalon? You remember Avalon and Roseland?
No.
They're 40B projects.
Uh-huh.
And in order to,
Well, when did we get the 1.4 million allocated to us from the company?
No,
It was, no.
No, it's no one-
1.4
it wasn't a lump
is what we
sum.
have, is what we have
That's
in that
the-
mitigation account.
that's the
correct?
total,
Yeah.
the 1.4 is the total
He just got
revenue.
to saying that that mitigation fund is for unforeseen stuff. I'm sure that
there was
York
some
and
that-
Randolph,
when we negotiated, this board negotiated with Avalon and Roseland. They didn't have to do anything. We were in a court case. We lost the court case because at the time, our 10% of affordable housing, we were below 10%.
Ah.
So they said, you know, it was, we won, we lost, we won, we lost.
Yeah.
And we had the,
they said
they
we had to
said-
pay 600,000?
yes, they said specifically for the lights and
Yeah.
some of, it was then $80,000 it cost for the lights for the horse crossing.
But why did it come out of the mitigation? Oh, that 1.4?
They donated specifically for that.
Okay, all right.
People can donate it, like we had some donations to the police department, to the fire department, to the council of aging. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm well aware of it. My father was a police officer for 33 years.
I
and
just
both of my
wanna-
brothers are retired state troopers, and I'm a retired federal investigator.
So people can donate with a specific item they want to donate the money for. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
So I just want to make sure, I just
No,
want to
no,
clear.
no, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for your explanation.
Kathleen Howley, 43 Sherman Avenue. Did you say that it's sometimes used for legal fees?
No,
I never said
No,
that.
Never
I
has.
misheard that. Okay.
Never
said
has.
that.
Okay. I have a question about political speech. You said that they have to, that the message, the billboard won't be approved if the town doesn't approve of it, but you had mentioned gentlemen's club. clubs.
Something of that nature.
Okay,
If we get a complaint, we would, like, if you saw something you didn't like, you'd call the office, and say, I just saw a sign on the billboard.
Right.
I don't like that.
right.
Then the
Which
town
we all
admin-
understand. Nobody wants to see, you know, something that you
No, of
don't want
course.
your kids to see when you're driving your car. So we're all on board with that. What if it's a political message that perhaps you gentlemen,
We have no,
Like.
we have some say, but I like to put it in perspective. The one on where Boston Mutual is, the Dunkin' Donuts, that's home at Canton.
Right.
The world headquarters is in Canton. They negotiated, not us, that you can't have Honeydew, you can't have Starbucks, you
Right.
can't have Cumberland Farms. They said, you know, they didn't want those, you know, competition.
right. I totally understand it. See, my concern is, and I'm not associated with these groups at all, but what I've heard is that people had wanted to get a billboard that had a message that probably guys might not like, but it had to do with the
It
investigation
had nothing to do with it. That
of
was
the murder of
That
John
was the
O'Keefe.
private home, the person that owned the land.
Oh, that
So
was-
that did not come to the town at all, and it was
No, it did
not
not.
rejected by the town?
No.
No, it was not.
Okay, great,
I'll
thank
look you in
you.
the eye and say, we never saw it. I heard about it afterwards. I knew that you're referring to. The person who owns the land, the business in town, didn't want to, he said no.
That was which billboard of the three?
The one on 95.
The one on 95. Okay, thank you. So just to clarify, you're saying that you would not get involved if it were a political speech. It would only be for like a morals type of a, you know, or something risque or something not appropriate for children to
If
see.
someone wanted to put up a Biden sign or a Trump sign, probably no. But
Okay.
it's never, none of that has ever come before this board that I'm aware of.
Okay, so it's only a matter of, say,
I was concerned about
Okay.
morals, to be
Sure.
quite honest with you.
right, right.
'Cause I wouldn't want my daughter driving by there and say,
No,
it's a
exactly.
gentleman's club.
No, we all understand that, and all the parents appreciate that. Thank you. I just want to make sure there was no suppression of free
No, there was
speech.
not.
Thank you so much.
Nope.
Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being
Okay,
here
so-
Mr.
tonight.
Chair, we do have a motion and it has been seconded.
So all in favor of the discussion, any more discussion, and all in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Moving on.
Next, I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gifts and the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the donation of $1,500 from Boston Mutual for the Department of Elder and Human Services. Good timing.
Thank God I corrected myself.
Motion made and seconded. Any other comments or discussion?
Just a quick question. Kathleen Howley, 43 Sherman Avenue. I know we just had a long discussion and I don't mean to prolong it, but I do want to try to understand, is this, so Boston Mutual, which I think is the insurer for the town, isn't it?
No.
Well, regardless. So there's a company in Canton who seems to make regular gifts, which is great. All the taxpayers are happy. Is there any relationship to what they might be assessed for real estate taxes? Is there any like give and take, or it's
With
just
with
out of
these
the goodness?
donations?
No.
No, they don't.
Okay.
No,
Absolutely not.
So,
And
so what,
we have no peer review over that. That's the Board of Assessors.
right,
They'd have to file for an abatement, like if the building was half empty,
right,
or if,
okay.
if you had a home, you're trying to sell it,
Mhm.
or something happened.
Yep.
Then, or you lost your job, or somebody couldn't afford the payments,
Mhm.
that's the assessors, that's their purview.
So this would be, is this for some sort of mitigation, this particular one?
No.
No.
This
Make a
donation?
Just out of the
This
goodness of their
this
heart?
is a
Yeah.
donation to the
Okay.
Department of Health and Human
Okay.
Services. That goes right to them. They
Thank
spend
you.
that however they see fit.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank
We
Chair?
just have to accept it legally for the town.
I think I found the language in the agreement that addresses Ms. Howley's question about.
I kind of like that
when
empty
the
chair. That was
town
funny.
will
I don't
come
know,
in front of
that
the
just made me
town
laugh.
for a billboard. It's the company agrees not to present or advertise material that the town reasonably determines to be indecent, is the actual language. Yep.
So,
motion been
Mr. Chair,
made.
there is a motion and a second.
Motion made and seconded. So any other discussion on the $1,500 from Boston Mutual? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Next, Mr. Chair, the vendor warrant total for the week of 12/22/2023, $1,466,654.99. The payroll warrant total for the week of 12/22/2023, $299,852 even. The vendor warrant total for the week of 12/29/2023, $2,359,254.39. The payroll warrant total for the week of 12/29/2023, $1,494,636.11. The vendor warrant total for the week of 1/5/2024, $480,728.08. And the payroll warrant total for the week of 1/5/2024, $294,538.71. I move that the board approve the cemetery commitments in the amount of $1,750.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move that the board approve the minutes from the select board meetings of December 19th, 2023 and December 27th, 2023.
Second?
Motion been made and seconded. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, Mr. Chair, I have a town administrator update, and I defer to Mr. Duty.
Very good. Just a few items, Mr. Chair. Just to let you know, the town, let the board know, the town has commenced negotiations with several of our unions as their collective bargaining agreements will be ending June 30th. So we're in the process of starting that process. One of the key factors in negotiating the new agreements is understanding what the state revenues are going to be, the governor's budget, which has not dropped yet. So until we get an idea from the state what kind of funds are going to be coming Canton's way, the unrestricted governmental funds and Chapter 70 funds, we really won't be able to nail down things like cost of living increases and other benefits. So once we get the governor's numbers, I anticipate that those negotiations will move forward. I don't think we'll have them done in time for town meeting. So I anticipate sometime, hopefully before the summer, getting the unions wrapped up for those negotiations. The office continues to organize and prepare a variety of zoning and non-zoning articles for the warrant for the annual town meeting, which is on May 13th. Now that the board has referred the zoning articles to the planning board at tonight's meeting, they'll submit them to the planning board tomorrow, and a draft warrant will be sent to town council this Friday to prepare for the board's approval on February 6th is the schedule. Okay. The finance director and I are set to begin the process of meeting with department heads to review their operational budgets. the requests. Again, the revenue projections from the state are going to be important in determining, if we're going to be able to fully fund those budgets or if we'll have to prioritize some of the budgetary items that department heads are looking for. And then finally, because it's just ingrained in me, I wanted to remind folks about the storm coming overnight tonight. There are heavy winds and heavy rains that are anticipated, gusts up to 50 miles an hour. So the potential hazard here is you've got snow on the ground, and with the heavy rains, you've got snow melt, which saturates the ground, which can compromise trees with root systems that aren't very deep. So there's a potential tonight, overnight, for trees to come down, perhaps power outages due to that, trees coming down in high winds. So I would just encourage folks to take the necessary precautions, make sure your cell phones and laptops are charged tonight. If you have a catch basin out in front of your house, be a good idea to make sure that it's cleaned out because local area flooding is anticipated as well.
Yeah. And just if I may, just to add on, I'm sure everyone in this room realizes a couple of years ago we had two tragedies. Watch out for pine trees. My neighbor across the street has big pine trees. And the storm 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was windy as a son of a gun. And I saw the kids out there and I freaked out. And I ran out there and I said to them,
You didn't run.
inside, because they didn't live there at the time.
He didn't run out
Pine
there.
trees come down like that. They're up 60, 70, 80 feet. They're going to hurt somebody. And I heard them yelling and laughing and giggling like kids do. So please, if you have pine trees, they come down fast and hard. So please be aware
Fast
of
and hard.
Your trees. Say that with all
He didn't run out
sincerity
there.
and from the bottom of my heart. I saw those kids and I ran out there and I grabbed them and the babysitter was there and I said, please get them inside.
Yeah.
They had no idea that, this town had two tragedies.
Yeah, my name is Phil Glenn, 8 Kings Road. I'm a retired OSHA inspector. As far as safety is concerned.
Jamie, thank you for your
it's
super chat. Appreciate that.
unparalleled. I mean, there's going to be puddling on the roads. I was out there driving tonight. It's really dark and it's pouring down. You can't see a puddle on
Sir,
the road.
you just got to come to the mic, just because nobody.
I
at
mean, you
home's gonna
can't
hear
see the puddles on the road because
Yeah.
it's very dark and the rain is coming down. As a retired OSHA inspector, I can tell you, you don't want to go to those accidents.
Well, thank you.
Rita Lombardi, 8 Kings Road.
Yes.
I just have one question. Does the mitigation account have a definition? Is there a definition for that?
I don't know off the top of my head if it's defined.
We'll look into that.
Oh, it's just, it's just,
We'll look into that now.
Okay.
I'll get back to
Thank
it.
you.
I will. Okay, moving on. Clerk announcements.
Moving
you.
on.
Yep, nothing else?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was my last one.
Okay.
That was my safety message. I like to end with that.
Yeah. You take the man out of the fire department, but not the fire department out of the man.
I'm just saying, be safe.
The only clerk announcement I have, we will resume open office hours. The next one will be on February 13th between the hours of 5 and 7. And of course, weather permitting, because it is that time of year, speaking of safety.
Did it?
Yeah, I didn't have anything else.
Mr. Conley, you had another
I'm
announcement.
sorry, I
that
have
just
one
brought to
other
my
thing, but I'm
attention.
not sorry. This is very important. The chairman and myself were fortunate enough to attend a ceremony this past Sunday, January 7th, where the town of Canton welcomed 3 new Eagle Scouts. And it was quite a ceremony. It started at 3 o'clock and it ended at 7 o'clock. And I want to recognize the 3 new Eagle Scouts. All the Eagle Scouts in the room, I was quite impressed. There were 14 of them, and counting these 3 young gentlemen. And there was Luke Darling, Patrick King, and Thomas Salvatore. And I want to congratulate them publicly. We had some
Kimberly.
some certificates for them. And Senator Timilty and Senator Feeney were there, and they had presentations. But it started at 3, as I said, and I walked out the door at 7 o'clock, and it was quite a ceremony, and made me feel these folks put a lot of hard work into it, and they should be
Great accomplishment.
should be
that's
very
awesome.
proud. Their families should be very
Congratulations.
proud of their 3 sons.
So, thank you,
Great.
Mr. Conley.
Yeah, absolutely. I get
next.
it, Claire. Absolutely.
Next, Mr. Chair, the
100%.
Select Board will hold its next meeting on
Yeah, he
Tuesday,
is.
January 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Sala Meeting Room, Memorial Hall, 801 Washington Street.
Now we go into the public comment.
Next, we have public comment.
Public comment period. Again, just to
Uh-oh,
remind
there's
everybody,
Rita.
15 minutes, 2 minutes. It's not going to be back and forth. If there's anything you, any of your concerns that we can't speak to tonight, we will certainly get back to you on it. So,
Susan Harrington, 45 Spruce Lane. I wanted to bring up the topic of the body-worn cameras. It came up organically this evening, but and I wanted to bring your attention to a very timely recent article. This is on the New York Times Sunday magazine about issues with body-worn cameras. And while this article dealt largely with fatal shootings by police officers across the country, I think there's lessons we can learn from this. And I just want to bring it to your attention because you know, what we're going to do with this footage once we have it is something we have to think about now. And in community after community, when there are fatal shootings, the footage, for the most part, doesn't see the light of day. And the reason why is because the police department controls it. And when it is finally litigated and released, it most often does not match up with the narrative that the police department was providing about what happened. That could be because they released an edited version of the footage or didn't release any footage at all. And your job as the select board is to provide civilian oversight of the police department. And I have heard at these meetings repeatedly that you don't tell the police how to do their job. So that leaves me feeling very uneasy about this. And let me just say, I'm very much in favor of body-worn cameras. I just think we have to be thoughtful about how we use them. This is a quote from a former deputy commissioner to the New York City Police Department.
Oh, here we go.
He says, mayors, city council members, all locally elected officials should be losing sleep over the lack of meaningful, independent oversight of police. This isn't Canton. This is every single police department across this country. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Can I recoup her 57 seconds? Do you know me?
Rita.
You just did.
Go. At special town meeting in November, as you know, 903 citizens voted to approve the independent audit of the Canton Police Department. Opponents took out a full-page ad stating that the ad hoc group, which was the random citizens, calling the audit doesn't know what they are asking for, or don't let a few bad apples change your governance. The ad proudly listed the evidence room audit as sufficient. On November 17th, public record requests for evidence room audit reports for years 2018 to 2023 was submitted. To date, only years 2022 and 2023 have been provided. Mass law requires that these be provided within 10 days. We are now 43 days past due and it's a gross violation of the Mass 10-day law. In response to follow-up, it appears Chief Rafferty is having difficulty locating them. The evidence room audits reports for 2022 and 2023 revealed that it was done, an outsourced firm did it, and they offer a menu of services upon request. The project scope for the 2022 and 2023 report stated that each individual manila envelope containing narcotics evidence would be opened and examined. There is no indication that the scope of the audit included auditing money seized. In July 2022, the report made 8 efficiency recommendations. These were fairly simple recommendations. Take the manila envelopes, replace them with clear, get a locker for the weapons, reduce the people from 4 who had access to the room to 2. And yet when the audit firm returned in September 2023, which was 14 months later, 0 of those recommendations were implemented, and they were fairly simple. You know, spending taxpayers' money on audits and failing to action recommended improvements that would streamline operations and minimize financial risks and exposure is a disservice to taxpayers and citizens, and it's a waste of tax dollars. Citizens advocated for an independent firm to gain better understanding of what was working right and ways to improve. Chief Rafferty later shared that there were better uses for the money, the $200,000. We learned December 19th that she was requesting funding for $240,000 for a new kitchen and fence. The town of Canton is expected to be sued by numerous plaintiffs. It seems that it's inappropriate to ask taxpayers to fund for these new kitchen fence. I would appreciate if the select board would provide answers to the following questions. I have 4 questions. Thank you, Mr. Theodore. Does Chief Rafferty include money seized in audits? If so, how is the money accounted for and reconciled? If not, why not? Does Chief Rafferty plan to implement the evidence audit recommendations of 2022? If so, when? When will the evidence room audit reports for 2018 and 2021 be provided? And lastly, Chief Rafferty's contract is up for renewal. What criteria will be used to
Mary.
make the decision whether or not we renew? If I email these to you, would you please? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for the extra time. I really appreciate it.
Kathleen Howley, 43 Sherman Avenue. Thousands of property owners in Canton have taxes due on February 1st. A member of the select board as of this afternoon still has a tax lien of more than $24,000 dated September of 2023 on the books at the Registry of Deeds. No release is registered, even though he told us almost 2 weeks ago that he had paid it. For years, he signed food license applications saying he was swearing under penalty of perjury that he did not owe taxes. Anyone can go to the website of the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, do a name search, and see about 12.5 tax liens going back the same number of years. It says right on the town's license application that it's a state law. You're required to pay all of your taxes before being granted a local license. Chris Albert said he had an arrangement with the Department of Revenue, but every single month of 2021, the year he was speaking about, there's an amount cited in the recent tax lien he was supposed to pay and didn't. So if he had an arrangement, he didn't honor it. And does he think that having an arrangement to pay his taxes is the same as paying his taxes? Can Canton taxpayers get in on that deal? As we get ready to pay millions to the town by February 1st, we'll just say we have an arrangement. Chris could apply for a certificate of good standing online at the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. It's free, you have it within 48 hours, that would prove that he has paid his taxes. If he can't prove he's paid his taxes, will he resign before we have to pay ours? There are 6 private citizens in Canton who owe more than he does, and no one cares because they don't hold an office overseeing the spending of more than $146 million of our taxes every year. And I know we only care because a certain person lost the election in April, but John McCourt was elected at the same time, and do you see anyone saying anything about him? That's because he's not what he said. He pays his taxes. Let me ask another and a final question. Is it really possible to claim to be pro-police and then not pay the taxes that pay their salaries, pay for their benefits for themselves and their families, and pay for the bulletproof vests that protect them? I would say no. I think it makes you part of the defund the police crowd. Even though Chris Albert, the one who has a 2-decade record of repeatedly not paying his local and state taxes, he gets a private escort out of here on many nights while women who have been threatened by his supporters, women who are paying their taxes that fund the police salaries, we don't get any protection from the police, even though we report police threats. These are ongoing threats. We go to the police, we report them, and there's very little interest in making sure that we are safe, even though we are paying the salaries of the police. Thank you.
No, I think we're good.
Move to
Nope,
adjourn
all the way up, Jeff.
at,
Sorry.
uh,
That's all the way
8:07.
up.
Second.
Can't turn it up any more than 10.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
That it? All right, that's it. And that's how they end. Dun dun dun.
Start the contracting process.
Yep. That's how they end. All right, maybe bring me back up here. So really interesting. Really interesting. Again, I did this tonight. Rita emailed me and said you should stream the board meeting tonight. So I wanted to get that out for everybody. Listen, I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. I know this was something that Mike from the Young Jerks was doing. So if he ever comes back to his channel, we know he's on a break right now. So when he comes back to his channel and he picks these back up again, that's his thing. I know this is something that he was doing. I just wanted to do this tonight for everybody, and I can keep doing them going forward until Mike comes back. We'll just figure out something, like that. What I do want to do before everybody takes off is that I want to play that segment from Law and Crime Network that they dropped on Karen Reed's case. And I found some things that were kind of funny about it. I mean, it's still early in the night here. So let's play through this, about 20 minutes or so, and see what Law and Crime Network had to say.
A controversial case out of Massachusetts has the area divided. Did
Hey, is
Karen
streaming
Reed
it?
murder
What?
her cop boyfriend?
I didn't see him
or
on.
was it a police cover-up? Just 2 months removed from the trial, the story is already gaining national attention.
I expect this case to be tried in both the media and in the courtroom.
To understand where the case
I
is
didn't even
headed,
see it was
we have to
streaming.
begin in January 2022. Karen
Sorry,
Reed
Mike.
and her boyfriend, 46-year-old John O'Keefe, went out for drinks in Canton, Massachusetts, about 20 miles south of Boston. Surveillance video shows the pair together that night. Both had several drinks. After that, they hopped into Reed's SUV and headed to the home of Brian Albert, a fellow Boston police officer with O'Keefe.
I didn't get a
Reed's
notification.
defense says she didn't stay and instead went back to O'Keefe's house. When she woke up hours later, O'Keefe wasn't home. Ring video shows Reed backing out of the driveway.
Now, the thing that's very interesting about this video that you probably all haven't seen, we see now the complete footage of Karen leaving that night, because the court TV segment that I actually enhanced only shows her just turning the corner. You're going to see her take off the street, and she gets to a certain point, and you can tell starts gunning it.
Early that morning, leaving O'Keefe's home in the midst of a snowstorm to look for him. The defense says as she backed up, Reed hit a parked car in the driveway, damaging one of her taillights. Reed called Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, who she had seen earlier in the night. The pair and O'Keefe's friend, Carrie
Nice.
Roberts, discovered his body in a snowbank outside of Brian Albert's home. 911 was called at about 6 o'clock on January 29th. O'Keefe was pronounced dead just before 8 o'clock that morning. Upon inspecting his body, a medical examiner found cuts above O'Keefe's eye, near his nose, and the back of his head. His brain had been bleeding with multiple skull fractures. The ME also noted hypothermia contributed to his death. On the scene, the Massachusetts Special Emergency Response Team found broken plastic near O'Keefe's body. The pieces were red and white, matching Reed's broken taillight. Prosecutors say Reed was drunk and crashed into O'Keefe while behind the wheel. She was arrested after his death and now faces charges of second-degree murder, motor vehicle manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a collision. But all that was just the start.
From the very beginning of this case, we have questioned the neutrality and the bias of Michael Proctor and certain other government witnesses based on overwhelming facts that we've learned, overwhelming facts that established that both this investigator and this investigation are compromised. That's why we...
The lead investigator in the case is Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor, who the defense argues has a close relationship with the Albert family. O'Keefe's body was found outside of Brian Albert's home. And to complicate things even more, Jennifer McCabe, the woman with Karen Reed when O'Keefe's body was discovered, is Brian Albert's sister-in-law. The defense argues this is a major conflict of interest.
Trooper Proctor's mother refers to the Albert family as the Proctor's second family. So one might actually ask Mr. Morrissey, who's actually lying in this case? Is it us? We just presented the court with factual information that was procured off of social media that it's unassailable. It cannot be assailed.
In a hearing just last week, Reed's defense attorney, Alan Jackson, highlighted the alleged relationship, saying there are photos of Proctor and Albert in a wedding together. He also alleges there have been meetings between Proctor, the lead investigator, and witnesses in the case.
We find out during the pendency of this case on September 25th, 2023, that one of those family members, Jennifer McCabe, who's the subject of great interest in this case and a primary person of interest in this case, is invited to Trooper Proctor's personal home for some sort of off-the-books meeting. Do we know about this meeting? Because Trooper Proctor, upon learning this, that Jennifer McCabe was coming to his house, ran back to the office and filed a police report a supplemental report explaining this meeting, this off-the-books meeting. No, he never disclosed it. We found out about this because a concerned citizen happened to photograph Jennifer McCabe's car parked outside Michael and Elizabeth Proctor's personal residence in the evening after hours. And the best that counsel for Elizabeth.
Now, I'm going to pause this really quick and just kind of piggyback off this, what Olivia said. You know, finally the nation's waking up, and they are. You know, and it's all of your hard work. All of your hard work. Constantly posting on Twitter, constantly posting on in the Facebook group, constantly joining these lives, pushing these lives out, going over the videos that we put out, giving it likes and comments and views, educating more people that are around you. So this is all your hard work out there. If it wasn't for people like you that came in and believed in Karen Reed and believed in what Turtleboy was doing, we wouldn't all be here in this moment right now. Enjoy this space and time. And then after, if it goes to trial, Karen walks because she's innocent, then we can celebrate even more, but then we have more work to do. Then the real people that did this need to be held responsible. We know who that is. But enjoy what you're doing right now. This is very, very powerful. I don't think people on the outside, as if first starting to just look in or just starting to realize how powerful this movement is. I mean, it is buzzing in this country now. There are more YouTube channels picking this up, talking about it. There's some very respectable people that are now jumping up. You know, Melanie Little's now picked this up and talked about it. She's done a couple segments on Court TV. So we need more people like that. We need more people like you, the people that are watching tonight, and to get educated and understand, because there may be a lot of first-time people here tonight. And the more we can do to educate, the more power it brings to this movement, the Free Karen Reed movement. So continue to do what you're doing, because you're doing all the right things. You're doing all the right things.
Proctor can muster in terms of an argument is to say, well, you know what, Your Honor, maybe he wasn't home. Maybe. Or maybe not. The suspicious part is Trooper Proctor isn't saying. And there's nothing in Elizabeth Proctor's motion to suggest that he wasn't home. Certainly.
You know, and I'm going to stop this real quick too, and I'll piggyback off of just what the Glare said last night when we're on Turtleboy's panel. If people are not waking up and understanding what's going on right now, then you're lost, because it's so obvious and it's becoming so clear. Every day it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. Every single day. Every single day. And I'm not here to take away from Turtleboy. I'm helping continue to push this and build it and make it stronger. So when he comes out, he just goes full on in, you know, and just starts picking this back up again. Thank you so much for the 50. I appreciate it. This is all because of Turtleboy. Send him messages of support. I 100,000,000,000% agree. 1,000,000,000% agree. Carrie, add 50 also to the fund, and we'll get a total at the end of the show. And like I said, 25% of all donations tonight will go to Karen Reed's fund. I will immediately donate it after the show is over. All right, let's play this. We're going to finish this up, and then everybody can get out if they want to go over and watch Melanie Little.
His car was there. Elizabeth Proctor's car was there, and Jennifer McCabe's car was there. Was Trooper Proctor home? I guess I would answer that by asking the question, does it matter if Trooper Proctor was home? They've now admitted that Jennifer McCabe, a central character in the middle of this investigation, in the middle of this crime, was secretly meeting and or socializing with the lead investigator and or his wife in the living room of their home. And that, Your Honor, is a problem. And it shows more than a professional connection. It shows a personal connection. And according to the Proctor family's own counsel, Elizabeth Proctor's counsel, the subject matter of that meeting was commiserating about this case. They weren't talking about sports. They weren't talking about the weather. They were meeting about this case. So how does that not show a bias, and how does that not implicate Karen Reed's constitutional rights?
No, thank you
to
for
this
what you've
information?
been doing.
And to this day, the Commonwealth has yet to concede what obviously is now sort of front page news, that there is in fact a personal relationship between the Proctors and their second family, the Albert McCabe family.
But the assistant district attorney says this relationship is distant at best.
The relationship, as the Commonwealth understands it, between essentially Trooper Proctor and Miss McCabe is that Trooper Proctor has a sister who has a friend who has a sister who has a husband who has a brother who has a wife.
See, they try to do this, but you know that Lally tries to do this, but you know we know, and I love pulling this up. I love this little meme I made, and credit to Court TV for the graphic. But you know, Lally's going to try to do this, but we know what's going on. I mean, we know what's going on. It's very, very clear. It's very clear. And just like the meme says, there's nothing to see here, folks. You know, that's what the prosecution wants you to believe. They're going to continue to try to separate these people and just keep pushing them further and further apart. But we know how they all connect because it's right here. We know how they all connect. So don't let it fool you. If you're just coming in and this is the first time you're finding my channel, educate yourself. Go back and watch my streams. Understand what's going on. We know the connections. It's right here. The connections are all here. All right, let's go back to the video and then we're going to end this one.
Wife who has a sister who is Jennifer McCabe.
Karen,
The
thank you so
defense,
much
though,
for becoming a
still
YouTube
points
member.
the
I
finger
appreciate
at
it.
Albert and McCabe, the latter whom defense attorneys previously alleged searched, quote, how long to die in the cold the day of O'Keefe's death.
How could Trooper Proctor be expected to adequately and honestly investigate this case as the lead investigator and also investigate the Albert McCabe involvement in this case with this history of an interpersonal relationship and allegiance to those very people, the very third-party culprits, the very people who should be suspects?
Stan, thank you so much for
John
becoming a
O'Keefe's
member.
murder.
This leads to another facet of the case, a potential police cover-up. After one of Reed's initial court appearances, defense attorney David Yannetti says he received a call from a tipster saying the case against Reed is a police cover-up. The defense now alleges Brian Albert beat up O'Keefe the night of his death and left him outside to die. To make sense of this theory and to understand the case as a whole, we spoke to Massachusetts native and criminal defense attorney Matthew Timpanek. But the narrative here is one that's really interesting. A lot of people believe, and the defense is saying, Karen Reed is innocent. The death of John O'Keefe is actually a police cover-up. How do you think that will play into the defense?
It will all depend on who you get as a jury. So if you're the defense, you're looking for people who are open to the idea that the police covered up this crime, that are at least open up to the idea. The reason is the prosecution has to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense does not have to prove anything. And if you find people who are at least open to the idea that they can't eliminate that possibility that it was a police cover-up, Karen Reed is acquitted at trial. So like I said, jury selection will be vital in order to find a jury that is just going to base their verdict on the facts and evidence presented at trial.
100%.
And you just mentioned the very important thing here, that the burden of proof is on the Commonwealth. So if it's their goal to yield a conviction, what do you think that they're going to present when it comes time to trial? Any theories about what we can expect?
They're going to present their theory about how John O'Keefe died. I believe I saw in the indictment that they found bits of Karen Reed's car on John O'Keefe from I believe it was a taillight or something like that, and they were able to match that. That's circumstantial evidence of potentially guilt. But at the same time, you got to put Karen Reed in the driver's seat at the time of the incident in question, as opposed to her car just potentially being used or a car that's similar to hers being used to commit the murder of John O'Keefe.
I'm just going to pause this real quick. Nay, chiming in from Australia, Carrie, add $5. Says, from Australia, follow the case for over 12 months. You guys are awesome. Please don't stop. Rita is a legend, and Turtleboy is a legend. You're all legends. Look at that. Fucking Australia. That is badass. Thank you so much for being here. And look, Nay knows all the players in the game. Nay knows. That's fucking sick, man. Thank you so much for being here. That's really, really dope. And thank you for the $5. I appreciate it. We're going to add it to the fund. We'll get a total at the end of the show. And like I said, 25% of all donations that came in tonight is going to go directly to Karen Reed's defense fund. All right, let's finish this up. About another 10 minutes. I appreciate everybody this evening that has donated so far. It helps Karen out. We're going to get that donation out to her. I appreciate all the new members and subscribers that have come in tonight. And let's rock and roll. The thing that I want you to pay attention here is we're going to see the full video of Karen leaving. We're finally going to get to see that. I haven't seen that before. And I was like, oh, wow, here's the full video.
It will all depend. They need to be able to put her in the area at the time in question. They need to put her in the driver's seat of the vehicle that was used to kill John O'Keefe. And they also got to eliminate any kind of possible doubt that this was in fact a police cover-up. Usually in these types of cases, defense attorneys don't really give away their defense.
There's the full video. I've never seen that before. This is new. I'm going to back up just a little bit here again. Right here. She turns that corner. I've only seen just turn the corner, and that's it.
And
she books it out of there.
And they also got to eliminate any kind of possible doubt that this was in fact a police cover-up. Usually in these types of cases, defense attorneys don't really give away their defense strategy this far ahead of trial, but they're using this aggressive an approach to see if they can get this case dismissed before this even goes to a jury trial, because the publicity on this case has been huge. But what you can expect at trial is more of the same argument from the defense.
And what you were talking about is that taillight there. That is a huge piece of evidence in this case. And you spoke about having her SUV there. Maybe they could prove that it was there, but to actually have Karen Reed in the driver's seat, I mean, that to me, I just hear reasonable doubt. How can we 100% prove that she was in the driver's seat? I mean, how would they even try to go about proving that?
Real quick, I just want to point this out. So Rachel says, doesn't look like she hit anything. Well, Rachel, I'd love for you to do this. Do this. After the stream's over, the link that I just dropped, I would love you to go over and watch that video. I actually enhanced the video of the security camera, and you can clearly see as day that Karen backed up in the John O'Keefe's SUV. You can see his SUV move, and you can see her SUV move forward when she makes contact. And then as she leaves, the real interesting thing is you can see where she actually cracked her tail light. And it's pointed out in the video. It's still fully intact, but it is cracked. And you'll be able to see that in that video. So I'd love you to view that. Because it's a great video, and it will break it all down for you and make it very clear for you. Sarah, thank you so much for the $19.99. Carrie, add 20 to the fund. We'll get a total at the end of the show. Thank you. All right, let's finish this up.
They need to have some kind of witness that either put her in the driver's seat, or people who did not see her at the house, at the after party, or at the bar, and that she was the only one who had access to these keys that were put into the car. They're going to find out, was her car locked? Was she the only one who had access to it? Was it in a common area? Some other individual could have picked it up, driven her car, killed John O'Keefe, and came back to the party. All of that is going to be flushed out at trial. And you're going to see, based on the opening statements from each case, who is going to present facts and evidence and who is going to present conjecture. It's possible that both sides believe they are presenting facts and evidence. But remember,
does anybody have this video? Does anybody have this video? If not, Carrie, do you think we can get it? Do you think we can get it? Does anybody have this video? I want to see this complete video. If no one has it, we're going to work on trying to get it. If no one has it, we're going to work on trying to get it. We're going to try to work on trying to get it. All right, we're going to try to get it. Don't worry. We'll make our magic happen behind the scenes. See if we can get it. Okay, let's play.
jury is a fact finder, and they will decide what
It's
facts
on
are relevant in
Turtleboy's site.
trial.
Okay.
Tympanic says seating a jury in this case will be wildly
That is the
important,
bar.
but likely very difficult.
It's from the waterfall, correct? Am I correct on that?
But there are signs all over that say free Karen Reed or Karen Reed is innocent.
Want that video.
How on earth is a jury going to be seated in this case with all this publicity?
Well, what's definitely going to happen is the jury selection is going to probably take a week, 2 weeks minimum, because you need to weed out all of the people who might have a preconceived notion or a bias about this case. It's going to be very difficult to find 12 people who are going to sit on this case to decide the facts, who have no preconceived notions. Because like you said, there is signs everywhere. People are wearing shirts. Every Boston Herald article about every Boston Globe article. So jury selection is going to be vital to finding a impartial jury for this case.
Then there's the contentious issue of law enforcement.
It will all come down to jury selection, because that's one of the things. How do you feel about law enforcement? Have you had a negative experience? Do you think that negative experience would affect your ability to be fair and impartial in this case? You need to find people that are open to hearing what the prosecution has to say and is not going to make a determination until they hear all the facts and evidence. You don't want somebody coming in with a shirt of free Karen Reed underneath whatever they're wearing who've already made a determination or Karen Reed is guilty. You want somebody who's going to hear the evidence so we can get a verdict that's based on the facts and the evidence presented at trial, not before and not after.
It's the high-profile nature of the case altogether that may have led to the tip and subsequent police cover-up theory.
What happens in these types of cases, especially with high publicity, everybody wants to be like, hey, I know this. I saw who killed Kennedy. I know who killed John O'Keefe.
Please send it to me.
It is all about whether they can actually prove that and whether that is factual. Anybody can say anything that, oh, this is what actually happened. But what
Not
the
yet.
defense has used is that they've taken this tip and used that as this is proof that there is a cover-up. We need to unwind the thread or something like that to actually figure out who actually killed them. And the longer you keep a jury thinking about, oh, well, we just can't be sure, that's how you get reasonable doubt at trial. If a jury throughout their entire deliberations cannot agree on a unanimous verdict, there is at least a mistrial grounds, or they all agree that the case hasn't been proven at trial and she's acquitted.
And it's not just tipsters hoping to get involved. There's also an interesting aspect to this case. An area blogger, he goes by the name Turtleboy. He's actually been indicted in relation to this case for harassing several witnesses. So how does that play into Karen Reed's trial?
It's likely evidence that's going to be excluded. His whole, what he's saying is I have evidence of this and I've been indicted. I don't see how the evidence is relevant, and his actions intimidating are outside the scope of this case. So it's possible he might play in the defense case. He might even be called as a witness here, what they found. But that's definitely something that's going to be decided in a motion and eliminate by the judge, being like, here's what his evidence is. Is this admissible at trial? And a judge might do a 403B analysis, which means that it's potentially relevant evidence, but they are
Find me the video. I want to
probative
go
value is
through it.
outweighed by prejudicial effect to basically confuse the jury. So I definitely think
You're
that
welcome.
his
Thank you for being
testimony,
here.
whatever he can bring to the table, would probably be decided at a motion and eliminate before it were done at trial.
Known as Turtleboy, Aidan Kearney has been indicted on
Nina,
more
thank
than
you so
a
much for the
dozen
5.
counts of witness intimidation. He was arrested this fall after penning many posts in support of Reed and confronting witnesses. This topic of witness safety was touched on just last week.
We all know that the September 25 meeting was about harassment and what these two women had been going through on the news media with the extreme harassment that they were suffering as a result of their being witnesses.
I remember when I had him on, the one time I had him on, I did kind of a little, bio for him just to let people know if they didn't know who he was. And I was like, Aidan Kearney. And he went, Thank you so much for getting my name right. I thought that was funny.
On a case and cooperating with the government's prosecution of Ms. Reed.
The defense
Oh,
also
thanks,
made
Dave. I
some
appreciate it.
major motions, including to dismiss the Norfolk County District
We're all
Attorney's
in this,
Office
man.
from
It's
the
all
case.
together.
One motion to dismiss and one motion for sanctions and also for disqualification of the Norfolk County DA's office from this case.
All right.
I think they were looking to get a letter from.
You know what I noticed? I noticed Auntie Bev went, let's rewind that and listen. Take a deeper listen there. When he says to dismiss the indictment, she went, ready? Listen.
To dismiss the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office from the case.
One motion to dismiss and one motion for sanctions and also for disqualification of the Norfolk County DA's office from this case.
All right.
Do you hear? SA, thank you so much for the $4.90. So thank you for last night's panel and all you're doing to support Free Karen Reed and Turtleboy. Absolutely. You know, that's why we're all here. We're all here to just continue that movement, continue the torch. And then when Turtleboy comes back, we say, here, sir. You know, we'll still continue to do our part, but he is the one on top. Yeah, she went, Carrie, add 5, please, to the total. All right. I want to hear that one more time. Oh, I went too far back. Here we go.
To dismiss the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office from the case.
One motion to dismiss and one motion for sanctions and also for disqualification of the Norfolk County DA's office from this case.
All right.
I think they were looking to get a letter from the feds impounded, which I believe was granted. I definitely don't see that the judge granting the motion for recusal and the motion for sanctions, because then it would be open season on every district attorney that, hey, if you want to get your case dismissed, do exactly what Karen Reed's attorneys have done throughout the case. And then it could lead to a recusal sent to another jurisdiction who might have differing opinions. I just don't think the judge is going to allow that slippery slope. It is always the hope of every attorney to try to get a case dismissed, but the methods with which Ms. Reed's attorneys are doing are very, very aggressive, moving for sanctions, moving for recusal of DAs. Those are very, very limited exceptions, and trying to get that actually get the case dismissed using those grounds, and very seldom are they granted. I definitely think that this case is going to eventually have to be decided by a jury based on the facts and evidence presented at trial. Both sides have completely differing views about what the facts in the evidence that will be presented in this case are. And it's up to a judge and jury to make that final determination, what is relevant and admissible and what is factual, and for the case to decide the verdict.
Then there's also the matter of the federal grand jury, essentially investigating the murder investigation itself. Reports say state witnesses have been subpoenaed to appear in front of the grand jury. Tympanik says this could be a win for the defense.
Well, remember, with federal grand juries, they are secret by nature. So I definitely think that plays toward Karen Reed's defense. I believe the motion was itself impounded today by the state, by the judge. And I definitely think the jury's going to be wondering if it ever comes out or if it's ever admitted into trial, what are they investigating? Are they investigating somebody else committed the death of John O'Keefe? Or are they investigating
Bob, great avatar.
the Boston Police Department for actual corruption and a cover-up? So it's definitely, if it's admitted, it opens up a whole new can of worms in this case that would take the case to places no prosecutor or defense attorney could ever imagine.
Well, the case has already received.
So this is going to get very, very interesting what this lawyer says here, how that the defense is going to try to blame it all on Jen McCabe. I've never heard that before. A
decent amount of attention. Tympanik says he believes the interest will only grow as the case moves forward.
Chief, thank you so much for the 50.
If we're looking
thank
ahead
you so much.
to the
I
trial
appreciate
in
that.
March when it's set to begin, what do you expect?
I expect this case to be tried in both the media and in the courtroom. The biggest thing is, if you're the prosecutor, is keep the evidence in the case based on the facts. Don't play the defense's game. Don't try to basically right off the bat try to eliminate every conspiracy and talk about and do their job for them. You need to present your case and prove your burden. And then when the defense goes, then they get to put on their case. And you can attack their case. If you're the defense, your case is reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt. The conspiracy, the cover up, that's basically your plan B if we're using terms from The Practice, the TV show. It's like, hey, if we can't beat them on reasonable doubt, we can point the finger at anything else. And they've already kind of tipped their hand about what they're going to do. It's most likely going to be a situation where Jennifer McCabe is the one who is actually the driver of the vehicle, because they're claiming that.
I fucking never heard that. Who said that? Who ever said that? Who ever said that? I've never heard that before. I've never heard that out of Karen's defense team, saying that they were going to say that Jen McCabe was driving the SUV. Am I missing something here? Did I miss something? Whoever said that? Alex, thank you so much for the $19.99. Carrie, add 20 to the total, please. What the fuck was that? I gotta back that up.
Your plan B if we're using terms from The Practice, the TV show. It's like, hey, if we can't beat them on reasonable doubt, we can point the finger at anything else. And they've already kind of tipped their hand about what they're going to do. It's most likely going to be a situation where Jennifer McCabe is the one who is actually the driver of the vehicle, because they're claiming that she, before anybody knew John O'Keefe's body was out in the cold, that he was dead, she searches on Google. How long does it take for someone
This
to
aired today, about 4 hours ago. It aired about 4 hours ago.
die in the cold? That is very likely where their plan B is going to go if they can't get the case kicked on reasonable doubt, or they think that the state actually, well, the Commonwealth, proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's where I think they'd go with the case.
I actually liked his breakdown all the way until that part. I'm like, where the fuck did you hear that?
What do you think about Karen Reed testifying? Should she take the stand?
I honestly don't think she should. The reason is
going to have
unless
to.
they make their case,
It's not
by
going
they,
to
I mean
trial.
the Commonwealth, you just open yourself up to many different avenues, all of which you can't account for. When the defendant takes the stand, their testimony is based on what you asked on direct. So if you're the defense counsel and you call your client as a witness, you have to make the avenues for which you are asking the questions very narrow, because if you don't, you open yourself up to questions you didn't want asked on cross from the prosecution. And I just don't see this type of case. I think she wants all the other witnesses to tell her story for her without her taking the stand.
The case is expected to head to trial on March 12th. Reed has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Stay with Law and Crime Network for gavel-to-gavel coverage of court proceedings.
All right. Good stuff. Let me just go wide here again. Carrie, can you get me a total? Let's get a total before we go off air. So just give me the total and I'll do the 25%. No, thank you all for being here. You guys are all okay. So we got 572. I'm going to round it up to 600. We're going to do 25% of 600, which is going to be 150. So I'll post that on Karen's defense fund site just as I get off air. So I'll make that donation, 150 to Karen Reed's defense fund. Thank you all so much tonight for helping out do that, make that possible. What I all want you to do before we go off air, if you want to continue with Karen Reed coverage, Melanie Little is actually going right now. Do me a favor. If you head over there, I'm going to drop the link to her stream. She's live right now. Go into a chat. Let her know Brian from LTL True Crime sent us over here to watch you. So she looks like, I was just peeping in, it looks like she's going over the probable cause affidavit, and she's getting herself educated on this case. So continue. If you want to go over there, just let her know. Hear from LTL True Crime. I would appreciate it. Let's do this. Let's open up the chat like our customary, what we do on a nightly basis. We open up the chat and let's see some turtles in the chat. Let's see some hearts for John and Karen. And let's let this one roll out. And I will make that donation as soon as I get off air. You'll be able to go on Karen's defense site. I'll put it in LTL True Crime. We'll put 150 up there and help her out. So let's let the turtles roll. Let's let the hearts roll. Let it go. Go, go, go. It's wide open. It's wide open. Let's do it. And then we'll end. Oh, and by the way, happy birthday, Tom. We didn't sing happy birthday, so I'm going to do that on the way out. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tom. Happy birthday to you. And man, keep doing what you're doing. Everybody's doing a great job. All the channels that follow this, and keep the Karen Reed movement going. So thank you all so much for being here. It was such a great live, and we will move on. We will continue. We will continue. And thank you all for the donations that came in tonight. It helps support this channel and helps support Karen Reed. Okay, everybody, have a great night. I will see you all soon. Go check out Melanie Little. Let her know that Brian from LTL True Crime sent you over there. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.